just because my artist journey doesn't look like the typical record label, do a tour thing with a manager, I don't feel like I'm being held back. So it just looks different. Like my journey is different, and I love that. Now it took me some years to lean in.
Between the Grooves is hosted by James Curtis, music director and morning man in the Greater Toronto Area on Joy Radio, and Ayiesha Woods, Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, and musician. Together, they talk with artists and industry insiders to discover our connection between music and faith. You can connect with us on Facebook or X at Between Grooves and on Instagram at Between Grooves Pod. Now, here's James and Ayiesha.
We're back on Between the Grooves. Welcome. Hello, Ayiesha.
Hello, my friend. How are you, James?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I've been looking forward to this conversation because this is someone you just recently met at a songwriting retreat, and
yes.
And so I was intrigued because I'm always interested in hearing the stories of how people start out and how they manage this whole career thing as far as music is concerned. I've got my own idea of how, even in my career, how it's happened, but it's always different for everyone else. And this is someone who you met, you kind of clicked right away with her, and you started writing some music with her. Can you tell us a little bit about her before we go to our conversation with her?
Yeah, for sure. And even just thinking of the fact that we'll be celebrating Valentine's Day
this week
in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Well, she and I and another phenomenal songwriter, we sat and we came up with a Valentine's song. So, I mean, it's kind of quick to try and release it. So we're gonna plan for something really big and meaningful next year. But
every love song is a Valentine's Day song, though, right?
No, but it has the word Valentine in it.
Okay.
So yeah, right. So
and quite frankly, in the Christian community, any love song can be released anytime throughout the year, except of course if it has the word Valentine in it.
Yeah, for sure. But this young lady is she is a joy, and her story is very unique. And I'm looking forward to chatting with her today and introducing her to our listeners.
Let's get to it. Aryn Michelle on Between the Grooves.
Hello. I hear someone.
There she is.
Oh my goodness. I am so sorry, y'all. I was just sitting here staring at my phone for like 15 minutes. Like, okay, just wait.
Yeah, just waiting.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Boy, these guys are taking a while.
Oh my goodness. I apologize. Thank you for being patient with me. Yeah, I didn't get the email. It must have gone to my spam. I'm so sorry.
No worries. You're here now.
What do they say about a phone? If you wait by a phone, it doesn't ring or something? What's the expression?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Watch pot. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Watch pot never boils. Okay. Wow. That's what I was referring to. So.
Oh, okay.
A watched phone
now
never
that's
rings.
a new one for me, because
watch pot never boils
before.
You've never heard that? Seriously?
Say that again. Watch pot never boils.
Right.
A what? Yeah.
A watched pot
never boils.
One of my favorite Arcade Fire songs. They say a watched pot will never boil. Great.
And they didn't even write. Wow. And they didn't even write that lyric themselves.
No, I know.
Because it's just an expression.
Really?
Yeah, it's just an expression. It's a. It's been around for a while, Ayiesha. So.
Oh gosh. Well, clearly I've been in the dark. I need to step into the light.
Her pot boils all the time. Well, Aryn, great to have you with Ayiesha and myself. Ayiesha was telling me about you. She said she enjoyed her time meeting you and hanging with you and writing music with you.
Well, thanks. I was Ayiesha. I'm sure you know this. Like, I feel like I met her for 5 minutes and like just so much like joy and
connected.
Peace. And an easy person to get to know and to enjoy her company. So I feel very blessed to have just gotten to know her a little bit. So
you guys only met for the first time a couple of weeks ago, or
right?
Yeah. Wow. So you've been in the music business for quite some time. I'm a little curious at the fact that you're a songwriter, a recording artist. You also teach music. You're a worship leader, but you're also a mom. And I think about artists like Lauren Daigle, not married, no kids, and her career is like going absolutely
soaring.
Yeah, it's soaring. It's going crazy right now. And then I look at artists like Britt Nicole.
Yes.
Or even to a certain extent, Carrie Job, where you're not hearing as much from them, but they're married, they've got kids, they've got other responsibilities. Are you finding that to be the struggle as far as managing or juggling career and family?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. No, I think I have a long, complicated answer for you.
Go for it.
I think it's funny. I was commenting on a post I saw a marketing guy who I very much respect the other day talking about Christians stewarding their careers, and it was all about the hustle. You got to be able to put in the work, and I pushed back on him a little bit, and I said, I think we as people of faith understand that the markers of human success in an industry like the music industry cannot be that can't be how we define success in our lives and our callings.
Yeah.
And I think we as Christians have the wisdom to know that something's got to give, and sometimes my calling in a season or just in a day or in this moment might be my family, and if I have to sacrifice some of the hustle for my career, I just have my priorities in alignment under the kingdom.
There you go.
And
yes.
And I feel good about that. And so no, I feel like it doesn't slow me down in my career, because I feel like I'm doing like what I'm called to do. And that's my main marker of success. Like, Lord, show me, Holy Spirit, speak through me. What am I called to do in this season, in this day, in this moment? And if that means that the impact is, I don't go on a world tour or whatever, or I don't sign to a label or whatever, then that's what I'm supposed to be doing. So that doesn't feel like a career slowdown to me. It feels like a choice.
Sounds like purpose.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel though that you wish you could have, you kind of look at other artists, other people in the music business and think, man, I wish I could do that, or I wish I had time to do something like that. Like sometimes I feel even what I do, it'd be like, oh, man, I wish I could do all that they're doing. And of course, the outward appearance is one thing, and who knows what kind of team they have behind them as well. But sometimes I think, man, I wish I could be doing this. I wish I could be doing this. But there's only so many hours in the day. And of course, it's all about priorities as well. And so, and I don't want to become, for myself, I don't want to get into a comfort zone where I'm just kind of good doing what I'm doing and just, that's it,
Yeah.
Like I still want to be pushing.
Right. Yeah. No, I did once. I think I told Ayiesha this story with the group we were hanging out with. It was a co-writing retreat, and we had a lot of gals there who were in their early to mid 20s. And I said, when I first started writing, well, before I even started songwriting, I knew I was destined to be the next Jackie Velasquez, the next famous singer for Jesus. Like that was what I was called to be. Right. And then I think, I kind of overtake. I mean, it's not like I don't see, people getting that cool show or being invited to that like exclusive writers retreat and there's always that humanness in us that has a little jealousy for other people's journeys, and I'm just brought back to the, God has a specific journey for me, a specific plan for me. And that's what I'm called to lean into. And I'm going to miss the great stuff right in front of me that he's called me to do.
Sure.
If I'm comparing my journey to someone else's. So I try not to. It's hard. I know it's just human. It's hard. But I think your question about, I don't ever feel like my family slows me down. It causes me to think about what I could do right here now. So just for a specific example, I don't tour a lot. I focus where I'm at in my life in two things: quality over quantity when I gig. Yeah. So I'm going to release an album, finish releasing. I have 5 songs left of this album at the end of the summer, and I'm doing a huge album release show, like all the bells and whistles, a big band, guest musicians, video, the whole 9 yards. But that will probably be like the show for this album. But it's going to be like a performance piece. There's going to be poetry. It's going to be crazy. But that's how I like to work. Because I know that my family, in order to thrive, needs me at home most of the time. So I lean into that. Or I spent back in 2019, 2020, I spent time thinking about that on a music releasing front. I worked with a really smart marketing guy, and he said, how do you want to reach people? I said, I really want to reach people online. I can record music. I can release music. Touring is difficult for me, but I want to find people online. And so that's really where I've steered all of my efforts, and my marketing and my releasing of music is finding those niche audiences, because I have kind of a niche style of music anyway, like connecting with them all over the world online. So I feel like I'm running as an artist, honestly. Like I've got so many different projects in the work. So I don't, just because my artist journey doesn't look like the typical record label, do a tour thing, with a manager, I don't feel like I'm being held back. So it just looks different. Like my journey is different. And I love that. Now it took me some years to lean into that.
Embrace that. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if that's keeping you busy, and especially with the online stuff, and you're getting that global presence, that global exposure, then you must have a lot of requests and opportunities to say no.
Yeah, I think I think as we all get older, right, we realize that you have to say no to good things to lean into what you're specifically called to do. Even in my journey as an artist, like probably, what year is it? Probably 9-10 years ago, I had a manager for a brief amount of time, for about a year. I had a distribution deal and a publicist and a booking agent. And I kind of knew what would make me, I knew the genre of music and like the lyrical message that was going to make me more marketable to like mass, kind of like more Christian marketplace audiences. So I know what that is. It's just not the kind of music I want to make, and not the kind of content I want to dig into. And so I made that choice. Really, I was like, that's not what God has put on my heart to create. That's not where the Holy Spirit is going. And I don't want to sacrifice like what he's really called me to do and be as an artist for what I know would probably make me more money. And I don't know. So I had, sometimes it's hard to talk about because I don't want to judge anyone else and what they feel called to do. Right, and if it magically aligns for someone that what they feel called to create also like resonates with the market, like cool for them. That's awesome. But I think I anytime I get an opportunity to talk on podcasts like this, I always want to encourage people out there that have indie hearts like mine that, have turned to God and said, like, I know that you want me to make something. What is it? And I'll chase that. And it can be frustrating for people to live in an environment where success is this many streams or getting a record deal or getting to open for someone on tour. And so I just try to encourage people to say, you know, success in the book of Joshua, God tells us success is just knowing his word and doing what he said to do. Yes. And so that's what I hold on to. Right. Just doing what God said to do, doing that work with excellence and finding delight in the opportunity to create like he does. And so I hope to encourage people in that, you know, if somebody's listening to this being like, well, I want to be an artist, but I don't think I'll ever, you know, headline a tour or get a record label deal. And my pushback is that maybe that's not what God's called you to be. But he's called you to reach people. One time I was doing just a little concert at my parents' church, you know, probably less than 100 people in the room. And someone came up to me afterwards and said, you know, that song really spoke to me. We've been thinking about adopting, but I just have been too afraid. And that was like, that pushed me over the edge. We're going to do it. And so it's stuff like that, you know, I'm like, okay, that's why I'm doing this, you know? Anyways, rambling again, but it's hard. It's hard. Okay. It is hard to live in a social media environment where it's like build buzz and do this and do all the things. And when you're an indie, you know, funding your own records and booking your own shows. And, you know, every time I release a song, I'm everything. I hire all the people. I do all the marketing and I love it. I love it. And I'm thankful for the opportunity to reach people with music without like the traditional gatekeepers. But I just want to encourage others to be like, you can do it too. Like being famous, whatever is not how you like your artist goal. Like don't live for that. Sure. Live for what God's called you to do.
You mentioned funding projects, and I find that's interesting because a lot of artists don't recognize the work that's involved and the fact that you need to make some money to be able to do some of the stuff that you want to do. So, yeah, I've heard other artists say, well, you know, what I'm doing is a project of love. And what they mean by that is it's actually costing them money and they're not making any money. They're not breaking even or whatever else. So is one of the measurements of success for you partially the income side of things, the money side of things, where you need the money to, you know, put on this big album release. Then that hopefully initiates some interest from people that attend to bring you into churches and minister there so that you can, make some money, help pay the bills, or is it just a break-even thing for you?
That's a real question. For me, I've become kind of a jack of all trades musician. And I think a lot of us who are professional working musicians do that. So I make demos for people on the side, and I have a gig. I am the songwriting division head at a small Christian music college called Visible Music College based out of Memphis. So I teach songwriting, which is super fun. It doesn't feel like a job, but it helps me make a little bit of money. And then when I do perform live, like at churches or for women's events and stuff, I definitely make money performing live. So kind of piece it together to keep the artist machine going. I think if just being honest and being real, it's a break even kind of thing for me. I don't want to put our family in debt for my artistry, but it's real that it's hard to make money streaming. It's not like it's not a cash out.
Yeah. Well, the zeros come before the point.
I'm sorry.
0.000005 or whatever the amount is you're making per listen or per stream.
Yeah, right. I love getting those checks in the mail from ASCAP that are for like $2.17.
That's right. Stop there. Go to the bank with that. Yeah, for sure. Don't spend it all in one place.
Yeah, but I think too, it's a real question because people feel like, well, I can't, for anybody out there who might be listening, thinking like, I can't do this artist thing unless I can make a full-time living doing it. I say absolutely not. Like, you can still release music, release quality music and engage with people and do what you're called to do. And it doesn't have to be your full-time gig. It doesn't. I mean, honestly, to me, I think there's so much freedom in knowing that I don't have to sell out 10,000 tickets on this tour so that my kids can eat, right? Like it gives me so much artistic freedom to be like, you know, this is my thing that I'm not going to put us in a mountain of debt under, but we don't need it to survive. And I know that's not true for everybody, but I think if you can create without that like burden of I have to make a living over my head, I think it's
that pressure.
So
well, the other side too is it's your passion. It's something you've wanted to do, and it gets to the point where it's actually costing you, and that's the other side of things, right?
Yeah, it does. I don't know.
When I say cost, I mean financially. It's to the point where it's not making any money; it's losing money, just for you to be able to do what you want to do, and that's completely wrong as well.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I'm not saying this is true for everybody else, to be a legitimate artist, I feel like I am not just gonna spend, right? It's got to be a reciprocal sort of thing. So I've done crowdfunding campaigns before. Those take a lot of work, but they can work. You know, connecting with bands. And
have you found them
always
to be?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Have you found them to be helpful? The crowdfunding campaigns?
Yes. If you're willing to put in the work, and you have to really like put in the work and constantly be like posting all the time about it.
Oh my gosh.
Like every day, like, okay, $7,000. Give me God. It's a lot of online like promotion work to do crowdfunding. Yeah. So the biggest one I ever did, I raised $50,000, but it took me, this was back like in 2009, 2010. Okay. So this was kind of when like crowdfunding was just taking off. So I would never tell anyone to do a campaign that lasted a year now, because that's insane. But but it was like for a year I was posting about this thing. It was a company that was based in Europe. So I had a lot of international kind of fans at the time. But yeah, I think now when I spend money, I try to invest it, spend money to make music. I try to invest it in local people, people that I believe in their artistry too. Like, I work with producers that I know and I believe in their work, and photographers and graphic designers and videographers that I love what they're doing, and I want to invest in their art too. Sure. You know, hiring dancers for a music video. Like, I want to meet people. I want to invest in their art. So it doesn't feel like, oh, I'm just pouring money out for myself. It's putting that money back into the creative community where I live.
I love
which is Dallas, Texas.
Do you dance? Hey.
No.
Stars at night are big and bright.
I tell you what, Ayiesha, I'm going to send you a video of back in, so before I started doing explicitly faith-based music, I was trying to do kind of secular music from a Christian worldview. This was before I had long conversations with God about who have you actually made me to be, and who have you like gifted me to speak to. So I was trying to do the pop thing, and I did a music video when I was doing just the secular pop thing where I like danced in it. Oh my is right. It is in the vault, but I'll send you the video if you want to see it. It's very embarrassing.
Please do.
I am not a dancer, so that is not one of my spiritual gifts.
But now that you've mentioned it,
other people.
Now that you've mentioned it, though, we got to share it with everybody else.
No, absolutely
no.
Not.
You know, people are going to go hunting for it.
Do some digging. Yeah.
It is YouTube private. Like.
Oh, okay. People are going to go searching on the internet and word search, video, dancing. There you go.
Oh man.
All you need is that.
That's not in my heart. In heaven, I'm going to be a great dancer. So
there you go.
That.
And that's what you hire dancers for. You hire people that are good at what they do.
Yeah, that's right.
Good night. Mm-mm. So tell us about your experience being at Berkeley. I am very curious to learn about it.
So let's give you the condensed version. So I did my undergrad in classical voice. Actually, I had set myself up to go to grad school to continue to pursue operatic styles of singing.
Okay.
I was pretty good at it. I could have done it, but decided like that's not really what I thought I was supposed to do, even though I probably could have done it. And my boyfriend at the time decided to go to law school. So I followed him up there, and Berklee College of Music is up there. It's one of the best modern music schools in the world. And so we thought, what the heck? Why not go into debt, like deeper and deeper into debt, and take on more school loans? But it was such a huge blessing because I got to work with Pat Pattison, who's like the guy who wrote all the books on lyric writing, and Jack Perricone, who's like the guy who wrote all the books on melody writing. And I loved it. Learned a little bit of production too. And it just really changed my my artistry, my songwriting. Met a lot of people, like recorded my first album there with a student producer. And it was really just the next step. And what's so amazing about it to me is it changed my trajectory as an artist. But it was God that led me up there. I don't think I would have sought out the Berklee College of Music if God had not made a way in his mysterious, and strange ways that he worked to get me up there. So I'm very thankful for those couple years I got to spend up there. I got to meet and share the stage on a singer's night with Paula Cole and Layla Hathaway, and just met some amazing people while I was there. So it was very cool. So I was encouraged people. I mean, obviously,
out of the deal.
yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I was 24 at the time, but at the time Berklee only had undergrad classes. So I was that like older student destroying the curve for everyone, like turning my homework in on time because I like wanted to be there. People did not enjoy that. Like, oh my gosh, why? So it was great. So
teaching now.
Yeah, so I teach at a music college now too. So I always encourage people, like, even if you don't go to school full time, you can't go deep into debt with the loans. Like, take some classes. There's lots of stuff online. Our school has a remote, like 1-year option. Like, investing in your passion is, for me, was a great investment, paid huge dividends. It was part of God's plan. So yeah, I encourage people on that route. I love teaching. It's so much fun. Teaching songwriting doesn't feel like a job.
How many hours a week do you actually teach?
I'm a part-time with my school, so that's a good question. Like usually like 9 to 3 days a week. And then I keep hours for my own artist stuff, like co-writing and producing, and I curate a couple playlists. So I spend time doing that. So my hours are just kind of random.
Random, but it sounds like you kind of map things out as well. If you've got to teach 3 days a week as an example, and you've got these other responsibilities, you probably map up your week in a sense where what you've got on the go this week, where you're at as far as, percentage wise, what you've done for the week, how much more you still have to do, that sort of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's, I'm a flexible schedule person. So that when they offered me the teaching job, it was basically just get your work done. And I said, okay, I can do that. I'm not a 9 to 5 gal. So, so I enjoy that flexibility.
It's interesting. Creatives.
Yeah.
We need for us.
We need some space just to take a walk every once in a while or change it up. Keep the Joni Mitchell would say, rotate the crops, right? Like you can't focus on one thing, or it kind of like stifles you creatively sometimes to get in a routine. So I'm working through these books called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And it's a lot of stuff like that, like how to continue to play, like stay in touch with your artist child, like the thing inside you that just wants to like play and explore and adventure and dream and yeah. So I think
and maintain structure at the same time.
Yeah, right. That's the grown up part.
Well, there's the maintain structure, and also, do you ever have to take a step back and determine, is what you're doing maximizing your potential? Are you just spinning your wheels? Like, are you getting to the point where it's not doing anything for you, either career-wise or ministry-wise or whatever, and then determining steps to change that?
That's a good question. I think the times where I felt that I'm hitting my head against the wall, honestly, are the times where I haven't checked in with the Lord to be like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Or was I just saying yes because it's what I thought I was supposed to be doing? Because right now, I honestly, I don't feel like I'm spinning my wheels, because the things that I want to do and I'm saying yes to make no sense practically. Like, I'm writing a book on songwriting, and I've never written a book before, but it's going really well. And the next album project that I'm thinking about working on after this one, I really want to turn into a musical, and I have no idea how to do that. But I've had people in my life be like, you could do that. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So, so I think saying yes to those things that I feel like the Spirit puts on my heart that don't make a lot of practical sense is where I'm at the moment. I don't know if that's good life advice for everyone, but but for me, that's where I don't ever feel like I'm spinning wheels, because back to the goals thing, right? I just check in with where the Lord wants me to go, and my journey is different than everyone else's, and I'm okay with that.
Right, right. It's a matter of being okay with that and embracing. Yeah. We've talked about this a few episodes ago, but embracing your uniqueness and just blooming where you're planted,
Yeah.
We also talked a little bit about there being a thin line between contentment and complacency, and really finding that healthy balance. How does God help you to maintain a healthy balance with everything that you have going on? Writing, teaching, artistry, family, just all of it.
Downtime, not too much downtime.
Right, right.
Yeah. I think something that I've learned from this book is staying connected to the Holy Spirit in the moment. And, if I'm in the midst of working on a project for my own music, say I'm working on a demo or something, and my daughter comes in and is like, I really want us to play Spa right now. And I'm like, okay, and sometimes I say yes, because I can tell this is a moment that momming needs to take priority, and sometimes I have to say no if I'm in the middle of something, or I say in 30 minutes. And so I've gotten really good at, looking I have 4 kids. So, making sure that they each feel like I'm giving them my best, looking them in the eyes and saying, I want to do that. That's important to me. I need 10 minutes to finish this thing. And then you've got me. And so just leaning into what's ever appropriate in the moment. I don't know how to answer the complacent question. I feel like I have the opposite problem. I have so many things I want to do. Sometimes I feel overwhelmed. I feel like the Lord gave me this image once of everything I want to do felt like water spilled on a table. And I was just scrambling, putting my hands on all the edges of the table to push all the water back into the middle so it didn't fall off, and get lost. And the Lord just gave me this image, just feel like the Holy Spirit in the center with you. And all of these things that you're passionate about, that you want to do in life, are just strings kind of growing out of this center ball. And you don't necessarily have to pay attention to all the strings at all times, but you just have to lean into the one you're called to in the moment. But they're not going to fly away. They're not going to, run off the table and get soaked up.
Right.
I trust in God to give me the grace and the time management, as long as I keep checking in with him. What am I supposed to be doing right now? And that sounds very hippy dippy and And like, but I am also, I think I have the advantage of being a type A musician, which there's not a whole lot of us. So I have a monster calendar and a monster to-do list. And I check in and I set goals. Like, I'm going to release a song every 6 to 8 weeks around the calendar. I'm going to teach this many students this semester. Like, I do take that seriously. So I feel like if you're a person that wants to do a lot of things, you got to steward them well. Like, you got to live with excellence and be like, okay, Lord, if I'm going to say I'm going to do all this stuff, like, I've got to do the work to show up on time.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think sometimes, and I wouldn't suggest that I'm a creative. I'm definitely a type A, but I would suspect that there's many creatives that perhaps because they're not a type A, not because, but they're not, and so as a result, I think a lot of creatives end up not achieving everything that they feel that they would like to achieve, or perhaps have a lot of wasted time, not necessarily intentional, but wasted time where they could have been doing something else. Like I'm always a type of guy where I need to be doing something, even if that something is, laying on the couch and watching a movie or something like that. But that's, and I'll set the clock in a sense where, I've got my list, I've got my stuff to do, and I want to get that list done by this time. And then, oh man, I went 5 minutes over. That's 5 minutes away now from me sitting on the couch watching a movie. Like that. That's the type of guy I am. And yet I look at some of these other creatives and I'm thinking, man, you guys seem like you have a lot of fun doing nothing and getting paid for it. But I know that's not the case. I know there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that the average Joe wouldn't necessarily know about. The times spent trying to write something and trying to get the creative juices going, or the setup time and the sound checks and all that other stuff, and driving to gigs and all that.
Yeah. It seems delightful. To just be lost in the joy of creating. I'm trying to get there. I'm like a recovering, control freak. There you go. Perfectionist. And I think you're right. I think it's a balance of both. Like, you have to make those plans and then hold them loosely and be willing to be interrupted. And I think that's the like Christian maturity part of it, right? Like, I'm going to plan with excellence and then let the Lord interrupt my plans if there's something better or something else.
Either that or shorten the to-do list.
Right.
or spread it out. Yeah. Or spread it out. I have like I've got my to-do list of everything I want to do this week, but maybe I should be pushing that and doing it over the course of 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. My to-do list is broken down to things I'm going to do soon, things I'm going to do at some point, and things I'm probably never going to do, but dreamers got a dream. Yeah. So,
and at least it looks like I'm intending to do it.
That's all right. Yeah.
The wonderful thing is God gives us people like, like our spouses that in most cases are the exact opposite of us. And they help to bring balance. I know my hubby, like every single day of my life, brings balance because my to-do list, it probably is very similar to yours, Aryn, in that there are things that I probably will never accomplish, but they're there. They're on there. Yeah. And like you said, dreamers got a dream. But yeah, again, he gives us people, puts people in our lives, and we can get more done together than separately,
Oh, amen. Like that's what I, after we moved back to Texas, that was one of my top prayers for the Lord. Like, I just really want community. I want people to do this music thing with, cause it's very hard to do it alone.
Sure.
And I feel like I've been blessed. Like, I met Ayiesha through our mutual friend, Meg, who runs a Christian women's songwriting collective called Mercy Tribe. I have my people here in Dallas through the Art House Dallas community. Art House is something that Charlie Peacock started years ago in Nashville, but there's a Dallas chapter. There's Art House North up in Minnesota. And my worship team that I've been more heavily involved in, I've got some producer friends, some artist friends in that group. And so I've just been so thankful, like you're saying, Ayiesha, to have community,
yes, indeed,
people to bounce ideas off of, people to do this music life with, especially when you have a spouse that's like a computer guy. You play him a song and it's like, great, babe, I love it. I was like, what did you think? He's like, it's great. End of comments, So you need to invest in that community of like-minded creatives around you. And it's so good. Sure. It's so fruitful.
Aryn, how old are your kids?
They are our oldest is 13, girl, and then we have 2 boys. They are 11 and 8, and then our youngest is almost 6. She's in kindergarten this year. So
that's fun.
Yeah, I had a baby at home for like 13 years. So it's very quiet.
Wow.
During the day now. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to change diapers anymore. So that's a good thing.
Oh my gosh. Like not sad to lose that. But it was such a great like I would not have changed it for anything. And I think back to your original questions, like, yes, it prevented me from hitting the road. I actually wrote a song about it called Every Closed Door. That I've been, the more I look back, the more I'm thankful for the doors that God closed in my life. I wanted to hit the road. I always imagined I'd date a drummer and we just live in a van and, I'd tour for all of my 20s.
The dream.
And
was the van in your dreams a Volkswagen van?
Oh yeah, it was
it had to be.
Van. It was not a tour bus. It was just a dinky van and we were just going to tour. But then by 23, I was married. And by 26, I had our first baby and they just kept coming. And, but I wouldn't have done it any other way because it changed what I write about. It changed what I think about. And I don't regret any of that for a moment. So I'm always thankful for those closed doors. I think when I was young and I wanted to be a famous Christian singer for Jesus,
the keyword famous.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm called to. I lost this singing competition. I think I told Ayiesha this. I went to this singing competition that a small Christian record label put on in Oklahoma City, of all places. And I showed up and I was 15 and I picked a CeCe Winans song to sing in this competition. Alabaster Box. Yeah, it was so bad. It was way too hard for me. Embarrassed myself. But the woman who, so that was a closed door, right? Immediately out, first round of the competition. But the woman who won the competition was in her 20s and she wrote her own song and accompanied herself on the piano. And that changed my life. Just seeing her win and me lose. I was like, oh, I hadn't even thought about that. I could write my own songs. I could play the piano. Like it was a turning point for me. And that's when I came home and I just spent months and years just goofing at the piano and just trying to connect with the Lord through making something brand new. And I was never the same after that. So
the nice thing is you still have time to train up one of your boys to drum. You still have time to buy yourself the VW van. So, it's not lost. Yeah. It's not lost. Okay.
The family band. Maybe one day. My older son is working on electric guitars. So we'll see.
All right.
The kids like to write songs. They love to play on my recording equipment and come up with their own melodies. Sometimes they're about Jesus. My younger son has a song called Fish Sticks, who he is begging me to put on Spotify. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see if Fish Sticks ever makes the Spotify streaming.
Sure,
but yeah, it's fun to see them lean into.
Can you imagine how much money he would make off something like that?
Oh, probably. He would make way more money than me. Yeah.
Checks coming in for that, for fish sticks. There you go.
Oh my gosh. Yes. That does, it's funny. That's one of those things that, you see my son's like, play this song on Spotify. It's a parody song of Minecraft and it has like 1.5 million streams. And it does make you step back and be like, what am I doing with my life?
Right.
Should I be singing Minecraft songs? But no, God has not called me to that.
Not in this season anyway.
That's right. Yeah, it's true. Who knows what tomorrow holds? Oh my gosh.
Aryn, thank you so much for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for hanging with us.
Thank y'all so much for having me. This was just a pleasure to get to talk with you and share some of my story. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.
You too.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
I feel like we could keep going in that conversation with Aryn, but we've got to wrap things up, unfortunately. But many thanks to Aryn Michelle for hanging with us. Before we go, some artist advice from Dwan Hill.
I recently heard that instead of prioritizing your life in a ladder form, like God, family, ministry, put God in all of it. Invite God in all of it. So instead of taking care of my God compartment and then putting that down and then picking up family and then putting that down, put it work, God is the only one that is worthy of us giving him all of those things. And so my advice would be, don't leave God on a shelf on a Sunday. Don't leave your wife in the house on a Monday. Invite the Spirit of God to be in all of it, because he not only deserves to be invited, he'll just make it better. He's going to make your life a lot better.
Love it. Love it. And I love hearing from Dwan. And he's witty, he's very smart, and he loves the Lord and
very practical.
Advice.
And very practical advice. I mean, it's a great way of looking at priorities. And we were talking earlier with Aryn about priorities, and this is a unique way of looking at it. Kind of makes sense when you think about it, right?
Just keep it simple.
Well, that is it. There's the music. That means it's time for us to go. Thank you very much for hanging with us on Between the Grooves this week.
Thanks for listening to Faith Strong Today's Between the Grooves podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, would you consider sharing it with your friends, rating our podcast, or giving us some love on your socials to your amazing friends and followers will only help us reach more people. We'd also love to hear from you and share your feedback in an upcoming episode. Send your video or written message to Ayiesha and James on Facebook or X at Between Grooves and on Instagram at Between Grooves Pod. Or email us anytime, hello@faithstrongtoday.com.